Just doing my spring tune-up here on, I guess you'd call it a 3.5 horse Briggs. It says got 4.5 foot-pounds of torque, sorry. Anyway, standard Briggs & Stratton push mower. I run this one on ethanol gas, so just your regular gasoline, not the high test that doesn't have ethanol in it. So I find every year or two I have to tear the gas tank off and empty everything out of it. So that's what I'm going to do. So basically you only need a few tools here. A straight blade screwdriver to get the air filter off, and then a Phillips for the carburetor, and you need a 3/8 inch socket. I've got these loosened up already. You actually probably don't have to take the starter cover off, but I'm going to take it off anyways. You also clean grass and leaves and stuff out of it. So you got 3 bolts there around it. They're the 3/8 socket. Okay, so now you need a 1/2 inch socket to undo the main gas tank bolt, and it also holds this air shroud piece on. So take it out, set that guy aside, and then you got 1 3/8 on the carburetor front here, gas tank mount, should I say. Then you kind of undo this rubber grommet here, kind of wiggle him off of there, and then the carburetor will pull out, but this link here is still holding it. So now this is a two-hand job. You gotta wiggle it up, slide it off. Oh, I got it off the governor. Don't need it off the governor, I need it off the other one. Anyway, let me just set the camera down. They say it takes 2 hands to do this. So I'm going to put it back in the governor. Okay, here we go. So I got it off of there, this little tiny link right here. And that end goes in the governor. And as you can see, this O-ring here and this piece of plastic, they came off. And so you put them right back into the carburetor. They go right in there. So you put the O-ring in first, and that guy's like a lock ring. I don't know why they fall out, but you got to get them back in there. So anyway, there you got your gas tank and carburetor off there. Then you undo these 5 Phillips. I'm not going to do them, or the video is going to get long here, so I'll take them out and start it next little clip. So I took the grommet off. The big end goes to the carburetor. I'll just set it aside. So I got the 5 screws undone. So then be careful lifting it off, and like a big piece of grunge hanging off it, so I got that off. So the object here is to clean this. I'm going to set that down up here so it doesn't contaminate anything. So this is a screen that filters the debris out of the gasoline. So does this one here. So you could blow them off gently with compressed air. The main thing I've found is that grunge collects in here. So now, one thing I didn't mention at the start is you need the gas tank to be kind of empty when you do this, or you can empty it out right now at this point. I also see some grass shavings or something down in the gas tank, just kind of dirt. So, but you want to get all the dirt out of there. So maybe I'm going to spray it down with some penetrating oil or something here. Just loosen her up and use paper towel to get it out. So basically the object is to get all water and contaminants out of the gas tank and out of this little chamber here on the carburetor. So I'll go ahead and clean that now. Okay, so I got the tank and this area here cleaned out. I actually blew it out with compressed air. The stuff in there, it was like a purplish brownish color, little fine, almost like dirt, but really, really fine. So somehow it comes out of the gasoline, because it's not like I put dirt in the gas tank. So anyway, so it's time to, and like I say, just make sure that screen there, both screens are clean. Because I think what happens is that crud builds up and plugs it. The reason I do this every year is because if I don't, about halfway through the summer, so you just put that back on there and tighten the 5 screws up. If I don't do this, about halfway through the summer, it starts up and runs fine, but then about 5 minutes in, it just starts running crappy, no power, missing, that type of thing. So I think it's crud building up on that screen that I showed you there, the taller one, and just not giving it enough gas. Okay, so I screwed the gas tank back on, I put the rubber grommet back on, I tightened down the 5 carburetor bolts there, but just remember, it is made of plastic, so you don't want to, you know, break them or squash the thing or something. So now we've got to feed this governor link here, holding up my fingers there, back into the hole, this hole right here in the carburetor throttle. That's the throttle. Now see, it keeps coming out of the governor. Again, this is a two-handed job here, so I got to set the camera down for a second. I feed it in there. Okay, got it. Of course, it came back out of the governor. There we go. Okay, I got it. Okay, so I got them hooked back up there. Then you just line up the carburetor there and to the intake manifold and the grommet, and then you just press it on. And then you line it up for this bolt. Normally I would stop the camera for something like this, but the less breaks in the video, the better. Okay, and then don't forget your back gas tank mount and your big bolt that you need a 1/2 inch socket there. So basically, to do this job, you just need a 3/8 and a 1/2 inch socket and a Phillips and a straight blade screwdriver, and that's all that's required. Like I say, other than, you know, compressed air, it'd be nice to blow out the carburetor, but just a few tools to do that there. So then we can put the starter cover back on, and at the same time I check and see for any grass around the cooling fins or anything. You want to remove any type of debris that's there, and that'll help cool the motor. And just make sure your spark plug wire goes back in right there, so you don't pinch the wire, because that's possible to do too. And this guy here goes back on the outside, and then you feed your 3/8 headed bolts back in. One on the front here. And just gotta find the bolt here. Oh, there it is. Here we go again here. This one, I don't think it matters whether that thing's on the inside or the outside, as long as you get both pieces. Then you just tighten them back up and reinstall your air filter. Fill it up with gas, prime it, and should be ready to go. The only other thing, of course, is to check the oil level. And it wouldn't hurt to change your oil every couple or 3 years. Yeah, it's full of oil, so. But yeah, it does need changing every, you know, like I say, every couple or 3 years. I don't think you need to change it every year, but just like the spark plugs, I don't change them. I just take it out and clean it off with a wire brush, make sure the gap isn't super wide, and put it back in. This one here is old and rusty. It's a 2011 Mower. You can guarantee the spark plug's 2011. So, like I say, still working fine. But anyway, that's pretty much it for a spring tune-up. Other than if a person gets, you want to take the blade off and sharpen it, but clean the grass out from under the deck. And this one here, I'm working on the wheels. The wheels were touching the body up here, so I'm taking them off and bending the body of it so that they point outwards more. But so there's your spring tune-up, just that simple. So I pulled on it 4 times with a full tank of gas. It still didn't want to go, so take the air cleaner back off, dump, I don't know, 1/2 cc gasoline down it, and we'll see what it does here. And this is going to be a trick. And shut her down, put your air filter back on. The other thing I wanted to point out, this one lives its life outdoors. It doesn't go in a garage or shed in the summer, so I have one of these oil tank caps, or used tuna can, empty tuna can. Put it over your gas filler cap. The tuna can works better. And then maybe put a rock on top. But basically the idea is you want to keep rainwater from getting in those 3 vent holes in the tank. Because if you don't, you'll end up with a bunch of water in your tank, and then your engine won't run. So, seems to work okay with the tuna can.